We finally received our multiple entry visa to Japan, and here's how we did it. Hey, this is Cams and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be sharing with you how we got our multiple entry visa to Japan. So to know more about it, just keep on watching. Back in 2020, I was able to make a video and share with you the things we did and the requirements we submitted to apply for single entry tourist visa. Pero ngayon kasi, in 2023, it's our third time in Japan, and finally, nagkaroon na kami ng courage to really apply for multiple entry. Kasi before, ayaw namin mag-risk. Pero ngayon, tinry na namin siya. And may mga updates din kasi sa mga forms, sa requirements, and at the same time, meron kaming toddler na kasama this time, our daughter, si Ada, and some of our family members. So, I guess it's best for me to make this video so I can share with you our experiences, ano yung mga documents na na-prepare namin, and so on. So just a disclaimer, hindi ako nag-work sa any agency na nagpo-process ng Japan visa. First-hand experience lang yung masashare ko sa inyo. But there's no such thing as 100% guaranteed and accurate formula para makakuha ng approval ng visa. As we all know, there are different types of visa that you can apply for. Pero yung masashare ko sa inyo is kung ano yung in-apply namin. First is Japan Tourist Visa without guarantor. Second would be the Japan Tourist Visa with non-Japanese guarantor living in the Philippines. Alright, so let's start the ball rolling and let's begin with the requirements. First requirement, of course, would be your passport. Check and make sure na no broken lamination yung inyong passport, hindi siya napunit, hindi nabasa, and whatsoever. Your passport should have validity of at least 6 months and dapat meron kahit 2 blank pages na natitira. I-make sure nyo din na merong signature ninyo yung page 3 at saka naka-fill out yung page 44 kung saan nakalagay yung person in case of emergency. Usually, we have our passport cover, diba, para protected yung mga kanya-kanya nating passport. Pero upon submission, make sure to remove that kasi hindi nila i-accept kung meron. By the way, if you have old passport na merong previously issued Japan visa, make sure dala nyo din yun upon submission kasi igugoma nila yun dun sa inyong bagong passport. Next requirement would be the Japan visa application form, and ipa-flash ko sa screen yung updated version dahil ito na ngayon yung ginagamit ngayong 2023. Ang pinaka nagbago dyan would be the size of the photo. Ngayon, 45mm by 35mm na yung ginagamit, or in short, passport size. And we also observe upon filling out the form, may ibang parang nadagdag ata or napalitan na terms dun sa form itself. Sa application form, this can be handwritten or computerized, but make sure nakaprint siya sa A4 size na bond paper. Kami personally, preferred namin ang computerized kasi mas malinaw siya and easier siyang mababasa. Kasi diba minsan, iba-iba ng penmanship, baka hindi nila mabasa ng maayos yung pagkakasulat natin. But if you would go for handwritten, make sure that you won't be using erasable or friction pen and avoid erasures. Kapag nag-fill out kayo, dapat all caps and malinaw yung sulat ninyo. In terms of erasures, if there are items that are really inevitable at nagkaroon kayo ng need i-correct, you just have to double strike. Huwag nyo siyang i-complete erase using liquid paper or yung correction tape. Kasi dapat makikita nila ano yung details or yung info na binura ninyo and kung ano yung ipinalit. Dito sa part ng airline or sa hotel accommodation, just to break the misconception, hindi nyo kailangang mag-book agad right away or before the application of visa. In fact, mas nire-recommend nila na mag-book na lang ng flights after you receive the approved visa. You just have to indicate there kung ano yung intended ninyong flight na i-take, and at the same time, kung ano yung hotel na preferred ninyong pagstayan during your trip. For your peace of mind, you can actually book hotel accommodations already in advance. Kasi may mga app naman na nag-offer ng free cancellation, mga ganyan. You can indicate dun sa form yung hotel na napili ninyo and attach lang kayo ng copy ng booking confirmation. Here in the second page, parang nadagdag yung portion nung sa partner information. And then sa bottom part, make sure may date. Yung date na ilalagay nyo dito would be the date kung kailan nyo ipapasa yung inyong application documents sa chosen agency ninyo. Huwag nyo rin kakalimutan na magkaroon ng signature. Better if the signature is really consistent dun sa inyong passport. Lastly, just a reminder, don't leave any blanks sa inyong application form. Kung may mga part na not applicable talaga, just simply put NA, hindi blank. Sa application form naman ni Ada, since she's still a minor, 1-year-old lang siya. So, syempre, ako yung mag-fill out ng form niya. Dun sa valid ID number, ang nilagay ko is yung kanyang birth certificate number kasi wala pa naman siyang valid ID. I encoded yung kanyang birth certificate registry number. And then, dun sa second page for the signature, sign ko yung nakalagay doon, tapos nilagay ko lang signed by the mother. Next requirement would be the passport photo. As mentioned earlier, the required passport photo would be 45mm by 35mm. Take note, hindi na siya kagaya before na 2x2 photo. Aside from the size, dapat white background siya and the photo must be taken in the past 6 months. And dapat high quality yung photo. Kaya naman kami ang trusted talaga namin pagdating sa passport photo is Great Image. Medyo pricey siya, pero kasi sure ka na maganda yung quality ng photo and alam nila on how to take the best shot for the passport ID. And then, pag may photo na kayo, you need to write your full name and your birth date sa likod ng inyong picture. Huwag kayong gumamit ng sign pen kasi baka magkalat siya or mabura. Better if ballpoint yung gagamitin yung ballpen. Then, ipipaste or i-google nyo siya dun sa application form. Make sure hindi siya naka-stapler ha. Dapat paste or glue. But for this, I highly recommend na sa agency nyo na siya idikit. Para at least, diba, once filled out nyo na siya, naka-prepare na, i-check muna nila yon bago nyo i-fully i-paste or i-glue yung photo ninyo sa form. Next requirement is birth certificate. For the birth certificate, it should be PSA original copy, valid for 1 year. But take note that if you have previously issued Japan visa, no need for you to submit a new PSA birth certificate na. So, diba, awas na siya sa mga requirements na isasubmit ninyo. Kaya din mahalaga na dala niyo yung passport ninyo or kung sa old passport man yun, na merong Japan issued visa. Para sa birth certificate, sobrang dali niyang makuha and it seems easy to submit. Pero here's the tricky part. Kung late registered yung inyong birth certificate, dun medyo may additional requirements that you need to submit. And ito gusto ko i-share kasi first time namin ma-experience to dun sa sister ko na nag-apply ng Japan Tourist Visa. Separate group sila. Since yung sa kapatid ko, late registered yung birth certificate niya, kailangan niya mag-submit ng 2 additional requirements. First would be the original baptismal certificate and Form 137 from, I think, elementary or high school. Madali lang din sana i-provide ang baptismal cert at ang Form 137, right? Pero here's the catch. Yun sa kapatid ko, ang daming discrepancies ng information. Sa baptismal niya, iba yung middle initial niya doon versus sa middle initial niya sa Form 137. Sa baptismal niya, iba yung middle name ng mama namin doon. Kulang yung second name ng papa namin doon. Basta iba-iba, nag-rumble na yung mga details niya dun sa birth certificate, sa baptismal, at saka sa Form 137. So, we felt hopeless. Pero tinulungan kami ni Relly. Ginaid nila kami kung ano yung additional requirement paano pwede naming ma-provide. So, para ma-solve yung problema na yun, we had to submit affidavit of oneness or affidavit of discrepancy. Original copy siya na nakanotaryo na nagsasabi na si ganitong person is the same of that person and this. Kasi nga, iba-iba yung middle initial at saka kulang yung mga names na nakalagay sa mga forms na yon. Next requirement is marriage certificate, if applicable, of course. For marriage certificate, parang birth cert lang siya, na kung meron kayong previously Japan issued visa, no need to submit this. Pero kung magsasubmit pa lang kayo ng marriage cert, dapat original PSA copy and valid for 1 year. Next requirement is authorization letter na makukuha nyo dun sa accredited agency na pag-a-applyan ninyo or pagsasubmitan nyo ng requirements. Kailangan nyo itong authorization letter kasi you're giving them the authority na parang mag-background check or siguro to validate the authenticity of the birth cert and the marriage cert na sinubmit ninyo. So, in short, kung nagpasa kayo ng birth cert and marriage cert, then you have to fill out the authorization letter. Pero kung hindi, dahil meron na kayong previously issued Japan Tourist Visa, then no need for the authorization letter. Next requirement is your daily schedule in Japan. I think itong form na to is nag-update din together with the application form. Kasi dati, parang naalala ko nakalagay sa kanya, schedule of stay. Pero ngayon, yung subject na niya or yung pinaka-title ng form is travel itinerary. At the same time, dun sa first paragraph, dati parang naglagay pa ng name nung applicant. Pero ngayon, wala nang name ng applicant dun sa form. The purpose of the daily schedule in Japan is to provide an overview kung ano yung mga gagawin, ano yung mga pupuntahan, or ano yung reason bakit ka mag-travel sa Japan. So, this should not be really complicated and hindi naman need na sobrang detailed nito. As in, bird's eye view lang talaga. If there are some details pala na magkakaparehas lang, like yung hotel accommodation or yung mga mobile number, no need for you to copy-paste. Kahit ang ilagay nyo lang same as above, okay na yon. Nga pala, if you're applying as a group, kahit one itinerary lang will do. Next would be the proof of income and the bank certificate. At that time, during our application, parehas kami ni Kevin na employed, so nag-submit kami ng kanya-kanya naming updated ITR. Nag-submit din kami ng individual bank certificate namin issued within 3 months, and wala siyang ADP, as in nakalagay lang sa kanya magkano yung total amount na meron kami sa mga accounts namin. However, last June, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in-update din na Japan Embassy yung requirement pagdating sa proof of income. First scenario, if you have updated ITR, bank certificate will do kahit walang ADP. Second scenario, if you don't have ITR, no need for you to write an explanation kung ba't wala kang ITR na mapaprovide. But you have to submit a bank certificate with bank statement for the past 3 months or bank certificate with ADP. In addition, sa aming group application, si Kevin yung non-Japanese guarantor living in the Philippines para sa parents niya and kay Ada. So, with that, yung bank cert lang niya yung kailangan. No need for the parents to submit. Common question pala na nare-receive ko kapag tinatanong kami about sa application ng visa is kung magkano daw ba dapat yung laman ng bank account para ma-approve yung visa. To tell you honestly, no idea din kami kung magkano ba dapat. Even the agency, pag tinanong niya sila, hindi rin nila yun alam. Iba-iba kasi siya. Like yung mga nababasa ko sa mga groups, ganyan, yung iba 5 digits para na-approve. Yung iba 6 digits yung laman ng account pero denied. Pero based on observation or theory lang namin, no, 2 things siguro yon. Una, dapat hindi biglaan yung paglaki ng amount ng account ninyo. Yung, kumbaga, yung nag-shoot ka lang ng pang-show money ng isang bagsakan, I think it's a red flag for them, or maybe there's a way for them to see that. Another thing, baka tinitingnan nila yung income versus itinerary. So, dapat match siya or masusupport ng pera natin yung travel or yung trip natin gawin sa pagpunta natin sa Japan, ganun. So, I therefore conclude that it's really best for us to show the biggest but truthful balance that we have. Kumbaga, realistic siya, enough for us to support yung ating mga activities na gagawin sa pagpunta sa Japan. So, those are the basic requirements. But there would be additional depending on the type of visa. Like na-mention ko kanina, si Kevin would be the guarantor for his parents and Ada, our daughter. In addition to those requirements, if you would be applying a Japan tourist visa na meron kang non-Japanese guarantor, you have to submit the following. So, first would be the list of visa applicants. We have to identify kung sino yung representative applicant. So, in our case, si Kevin yun, kasi siya naman yung major sponsor talaga. Another requirement is the guarantee letter. Since si Kevin is living in the Philippines na nag-serve as our sponsor or guarantor, tapos kasama din namin siya sa trip itself, kailangan namin i-fill out tong templated form na ito. Yung attachment dito, I think yung nag-serve na as our proof of relationship would be the birth certificates. Kasi nakita naman doon ako yung mom ni Ada, anak niya si Ada, although hindi pa kami married, yun yung nagpakita ng relationship, and then yung parents naman niya nandun sa birth certificate niya. Tapos nag-submit na rin siya ng bank certificate, so all covered for the guarantee letter. Now, if you're feeling extra, hindi ito requirements, no? Hindi siya talaga necessary, pero it won't hurt if you would add this to your submitted requirements. Yung COE ninyo if you're employed, and your cover letter. Feeling ko nakakadagdag kasi siya ng chances or probability na ma-approve. Kasi sa COE, syempre nakikita meron kang babalikan talaga dito sa Philippines kasi may work ka dito. And then sa cover letter naman, it would support yung reason why you would want to apply for a Japan visa. Yun. So usually, dinadagdag namin yan. COE at saka cover letter. Finally, if you would want to apply for a multiple entry visa to Japan, meron silang additional form that you have to fill out. May mga categories doon that you can check kung saan ka pwede mag-fall that makes you eligible na mag-apply ng multiple entry. To be honest, wala sa plano namin na mag-apply ng multiple entry at that time. Pero dahil inalok kami ni Relly, we felt like maybe we are eligible already, kaya kami inaalok, diba? We took the chance and we asked kung saan kami nagfo-fall doon sa mga categories na nakalagay sa form nila. So, kami ni Kevin sa first box, si Ada naman sa fourth box. At first, medyo hesitant pa din kami. Pero kasi, when we asked si Bamboo of Relly. Sobrang galing niya mag-check ng requirements, promise. Tinanong namin siya, if hindi kami ma-approve ng multiple entry visa, automatic denied ba? Sabi naman niya, hindi naman siguro. Most likely, if not multiple entry and qualified naman kami for single entry, baka bigyan kami ng single entry. But of course, there's no guarantee, diba? Siguro yung idea na pwede naman, if not multiple, single, okay lang, ganyan. So, tinake na namin yung opportunity and we're happy that we did kasi na-approve kami finally. We're finally done with all the requirements or the documentations that you have to prepare for your application. And, diba, sobrang dali lang niyang i-prepare lahat. For the cost naman, the actual Japan visa is free. Pero syempre, since we go through the agency, merong handling fee. For Relly, 950 pesos siya for single entry. And then add ka lang ng 500 pesos if you would be applying for multiple entry visa. Pero we were informed na itong 500 pesos na to would be refunded to you kung sakaling hindi tayo fortunate na ma-approve ng multiple entry. Next thing na kailangan mong gawin is to choose among the list of accredited agencies kung saan ka parang pinaka-komportable or at home na magpasa ng mga requirements mo. Kami personally, ang pinili namin is Relly Tour sa May Dusit, Makati. Ever since 2018, nung first time namin nag-Japan, doon na kami nagpasa. And hindi na namin binrake yung tradition. Tuwing nagpapasa kami or nag-a-apply ng visa, doon na din. Kaya magaling kasi silang mag-check, mabusisi sila sa requirements. So, alam namin at kampante kami na chine-check talaga nila lahat ng documents na pinapasa. So, kung may mali, sinasabi nila, then you have to comply para masettle lahat ng concerns. Ganun. For the process naman, after the submission, normally they would tell you 7 to 10 business days before you get the feedback from them. Pero minsan earlier yon, nagte-text sila sa'yo, first thing in the morning, na available na yung passport. Since hindi mo malalaman via call or text kung approve ka or denied, you really have to go to the branch and to claim your passport para malaman kung approve ka or hindi. Don't forget pala, huwag niyong iwawala yung slip na ibibigay sa inyo upon application kasi yun din yung slip na ipipresent ninyo as you claim your passport. And usually ako talaga yung nagkiklaim ng passport namin. And grabe yung kaba ko kapag pipick upin na yung passport kasi syempre, diba, you're praying na sana approve, ganyan. Pero may kaba na paano kung denied, ganyan. So, ang unang sinisipat ko kapag ka nagkiklaim na ako is yung likod. Kasi sabi nila na kung puti daw yung sticker, it means approve yung visa mo. Pero kung red siya, that means denied. Finally, for some final reminders and tips, again, don't forget all the documents should be submitted in A4 size. Ako, ang OA ko dito, talaga bumibili ako ng magandang quality ng A4 paper para maganda siya and presentable pag pinasa. Ngayon, kung may mga documents kayo na hindi A4 yung sukat or yung mga original documents like, let's say, yung bank cert, hindi A4 yung ginamit ni bank, pero kailangan mong isubmit yung original, then you should photocopy sa A4 na paper and then bring the original copy with you. Next, no erasures using correction tape or liquid. And don't forget, remove all the staplers. Another thing pala, if you're applying as a group, don't forget to sort all the documents per applicant para mas madali pagdating nyo sa agency na i-check siya. Hindi yun dun pa lang kayo mag-aayos-ayos. And ang pinakamahalaga, do not submit any falsified documents. And wag kang mag-cram. Be prepared enough for all the documentations and the submission of your requirements. Yun. So basically, that's it for today's video. I hope nakatulong ito sa inyo and magsilbi itong reference and guide as you prepare for your requirements and application. By the way, if you have questions, clarifications, queries, or anything related to this, feel free to leave a comment down below and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for watching this video and I'm looking forward to seeing you again on my next one. Stay safe, everyone. Bye!